we're gonna kind of do like a general Paladin deep dive today. I don't know how much we're gonna go into Ret and Holy. I've recently been playing Prot Paladin myself. I'm new to Protection Paladin and TBC. I didn't play one in Classic, but Tedj, he's made YouTube videos. He did the 200 Maraudon pull with the Paladin recently, and so he's got his stripes with the knowledge of Paladin, and I'm hoping that somebody that's new to the class, a novice like myself, is going to be able to talk to somebody more knowledgeable, and hopefully we can get some good answers out of this, and we'll have a different perspective, you know, maybe ask some questions that normally wouldn't be asked, and so maybe you guys can learn something if you're planning on playing a Paladin in TBC, because they are the best gold farmers. They are the mages of TBC. They're not affected by the AoE cap like mages are, but mages seem to be able to pull it off, you know, one way or another. But Tedj, if you could be so kind, man, and introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. It's all I'm gonna say. It's our time to shine. You know, we've been living in the shadows, in the holy shadows, for a bit. I mean, honestly, I think I've done by now. All I'm missing is the 500 mana pool, and then I'll have done everything that mages actually can do in Classic. So, you know, we're not even that far behind. It was possible. I think that nobody just actually went for it and tried. Nobody thought it was possible. But yeah, man, TBC is looking great. I love Prot Pally. I've been playing Prot Pally for like 15, 16 years. No, not Prot Pally, Pally for like 15 or something years now. So I love it. It's hella fun, and boosting will, I mean, honestly, I prefer the leveling other than boosting. I just do it for the challenge and because I find it fun. But gold farming is going to be amazing. We're finally gonna feel some of that mage richness. You know, you go into a gold EKP, you can buy whatever you want. You're not really afraid to spend your gold or your wallet because it's just gonna be full on. But yeah,
I'm hoping, you know, that someone that doesn't know too much about Paladin, we can hopefully all learn together. Because I would imagine, you know, maybe 90% of the people in chat, maybe you don't play a Paladin. They're not, as Tedj, as popular in Classic, whether their viability as a tank or DPS rather in Classic, they're much more well-rounded in TBC, as all the rest of the classes are. So
yeah,
I've been playing Prot Pally recently, Ted. I want to main it because I enjoy tanking and I enjoy doing 5-mans. I'm not a big raider necessarily. I don't care about the main tank role, but you can imagine Prot Paladins are amazing at tanking trash in raids, doing 5-man dungeons, 5-man heroics. They are the cream of the crop, right?
Yeah, my guild's been calling me the trash tank for a while, both because I tank the trash and because they say I'm a trashy tank. But you know, I gotta take what I can. You know, I'm a Prot Paladin, sometimes trying to tank some stuff in here. They let me tank some Blackwing Lair stuff, so you know, gotta get them while you can.
The way I see it, man, you're the reason why you get the raids done so quickly. You know, I mean, anybody can main tank. Any druid or warrior can get up there, put up some threat, and take less damage. But if it wasn't, you know, for the Prot Paladin, you guys would be here in an extra hour. You know, we're cutting down the pulls. You know, cut them in half. So
I agree with that. I agree with that. No, but really, Prot Paladins are just insane at like AoE taunting. You know, the AoE threat we can pull is just mad with consecration. If you don't have engineering, it's cool. It has like a lot of, you know, fun things to use, like gadgets and sappers and bombs and repairs, whatever you need really. But if with engineering, you can even do like more AoE threat. So it's fun, and we're really good at AoE tanking, like you said. You go dungeons, you go boosts, you go farming, like everything just glues to you AoE wise.
I love that you're bringing up professions, and I do just want to touch on the professions even get better in TBC. You know, we talk about the old world and how professions were always relevant, and you know, classic TBC Wrath, and maybe not so much now in retail. That's not the direction I want to take the conversation, but in engineering, I saw that you have smoke bombs. I don't know, I've never heard somebody talk about this, but from the tanking perspective, if you want to lay down frost traps, or you're going to round up, you know, a bunch of mobs, or you're in a big spell cleave, you can lay down, you know, you're an engineer, you throw your smoke bomb on the ground, you're like, hey hunter, this is where I want the frost trap. And I don't know, I just think the utility of even using like a smoke bomb in engineering is going to be useful for a paladin, even where it doesn't, hopefully it doesn't share a cooldown on like a grenade or something. But yeah, man, I mean, really excited.
Even like forgetting about those, like even engineering, just the sheer like utility you have. You can actually use like You know how mages like always argue, oh yeah, if you're trying to pull a 300 mana pull or whatever, you can't really get distance from them because if you can't Frost Nova them, well, guess what? Frost Grenade. So you can actually Frost Nova mobs at the distance. Like we have our own Water Elemental pad, right? But there's a lot more utility with engineering. The best thing I would say for like jumping into like the boosting and gold farming, I honestly believe the two best professions for a Prot Pala will be engineering and enchanting, because you can disenchant like whatever you want from whatever farms you're doing. And also the engineering just brings way too much utility, namely repair bots, for example. Say you're farming Strat Undead, right? Or like you're doing a full pull in there. Like you're going to have to repair every 3 runs or so. You're going to have to sell your inventory. You can sell the repair bot. You can repair whatever you want. It's so great. I would honestly go with those two for gold farming and whatever sorts.
Sure. I also heard... So some people are like doing these one pulls in Stratholm. They were talking about the durability loss. Well, on live, you do end up taking so many hits. It does look like every 3 runs, like you mentioned, you're going to have to repair. And you just... Yeah, it'll be neat having repair bots on you at all times. Jewel, we'll hit this last point. So I thought that enchanting was kind of... You were gimping yourself out as a paladin, because I still want to be efficient as a prot paladin in raiding, and I was thinking that I would need jewel crafting because you have like this spell power trinket that you can make. Maybe you could put in a couple unique gems that would min-max your way to the top. But I was thinking that enchanting only brought the utility of disenchanting the greens that you get on your gold farms, but you actually get ring enchants, plus 12 spell damage to each ring in TBC.
Yep.
So it's actually, and I think that you can do jewel crafting first, make those plus spell damage trinket, the 150 spell damage trinket that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that's sad, but no. I literally, like, I could log on into my account right now because I'm on EU. Like, people from your chat probably don't know, but I'm on EU. So, well, I guess you can tell from the accent. And like, I could show you, I have already the full kit for GC or jewel crafting, and then another kit for enchanting as soon as TBC pre-patch lands. And that was my goal. I wanted to get the gems, but then they made the gems BOP, like Buy No Pickup. And then, like, they haven't mentioned the trinkets, and I was thinking, can I still snag that trinket? But I've got reports today from some dudes in beta while I was talking in the Paladin Discord, which I don't know if you were on, but you should definitely join.
Yeah.
And like they're saying that the trinket is also now like requires jewel crafting to use.
Way.
Yeah, I know.
I saw the post and it said that ring enchants in the gems.
Yeah. They probably forgot to mention like the trinket. But somebody, like, I had 2 people telling me actually in the Discord that jewel crafting trinkets now also require jewel crafting to equip and use.
That's so frustrating, man. Because, well, in vanilla for bears, I went enchanting to make the Heart of the Mountain. It's like 180 armor trinket and plus 7 resistances all the way, and the armor gets... Yeah, and so then I went enchanting, made that, and then put it on and dropped enchanting and did something else. Well, that actually...
But there's 2 sides to that discussion, right? Like, the other side, personally, for me, is... You know that old quote of blah, 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 you gotta protect the players from themselves, so they will always optimize the fun out of a game. This is one of those times that I actually feel like Blizzard is taking care of the players in a way, because they're preventing us from going to, like, extreme lengths just to min-max, right? So, yeah, I'm sad because, I'm selfish and I wanted that like, 33 stamina, 23 intellect, and spell damage on use trinket. But, it's fine. They're just protecting us from ourselves, I think. And in the end, it's not that big of a deal. So, okay, it just makes me a bit sad. But enchanting is just as good, like you were saying. You've got 2 enchants on each ring, plus 12 spell damage on each is very big. Like, for a comparison, the trinket you mentioned, it's got a 5-minute cooldown, right? The first iteration of it. So that if you do the math, that equates around to 10 spell damage, because it's like 150 for 20 seconds, 300 seconds is 5 minutes. You divide that by the 20 seconds, and you've got a 15 ratio, and then you divide 150 by 15, and it's 10 spell damage. So point is, that trinket for 5 minutes will do you a 5 spell damage every second. But the enchanting actually has 24 spell damage every second, because it's 2 ring enchant. So you're actually not missing out that much. Like, in any case, in any scenario, I would always go enchanting and engineering for a Prot Pala, but it's a personal opinion. Some people prefer other things. You can go blacksmithing for other things if you want, like the weapon for red, it's PvP, whatever. But we're not missing out. I guess the point is, it's a bit sad, but we're not really missing out so much.
I do want to point out, so jewel crafting, you can see on the slide right here. Here's the figurine I was talking about. It's got stats. It has a 150 spell damage. Hey, so you can't pop this trinket, take it off, put on a defense trinket, and still get the 150 spell damage, right? Like it'll take off that spell damage buff.
I'm not actually sure, but you would have to pop it like pre-combat and then swap the trinkets around, right?
Right. It would just be insane for threat generation. Well, I do want to show that you can get similar like the exact same spell damage trinkets on a 1.5 minute cooldown with Revered with the Shatar. TK dungeons or the Scryer. So you're really not missing out on anything, just the stamina intellect.
And I mean, honestly, like for me, I'm gonna take it. There's even one, I don't think you've shown, you're not showing it in screen. There's one which is from Badges of Justice, and it's the icon of the Silver Crescent. You should check that one out, because that one, you see that one you have there is like 32 spell crit, pretty bad for Paladins. Spell hit can be decent, but like Consecration always hits. So the other one actually gives you a flat spell damage of 43, I think, and then annoying use of spell damage on a 2-minute cooldown. So that one is like pretty insane. You should if you're looking for that one, it's 15, I think, badges of justice. So it should be like fairly quick to get it, and it's just really good. Let me just double check it. I have it open here. Where is it?
Yeah, so while we're talking about professions too, I wanted to go jewel crafting because I have this living ruby serpent on me, and whenever you pop it, it's kind of like a pet that comes out. I wanted to be like a unique Prot Paladin. I wanted to have the ruby red snake follow me around with plus spell damage, and I have enchanting and stuff. So I'm just excited about making my Prot Paladin unique from everybody else.
I agree. But hopefully they revert it. I mean, maybe.
Oh, no, I think it's okay. Like you said, I think it's a fair change. Well, I can tell we're both excited about playing Paladin in TBC. I've got a couple questions. Hopefully this is relevant to you guys. I am not a min-maxer. I really don't understand stat priority that much. I don't take the time to learn about it. I think because I don't know, I just haven't really been interested in it. I'm more of a plug and play gamer. If you ever look at my desktop, it's awful, right? Dude, my phone screen still is my flight ticket with the QR code from 2 months ago. So I'm just saying, I don't change my UI around. I really just like to log in, play the game. Don't really care about stat priority that much, but I've fallen in love with Prot Paladin so much, I've kind of taken some attention on learning, what defense is, what the avoidance stats are, how much spell damage you need in order to pull different things off. Also, Prot Paladins, they're constantly, until what I've heard, until like tier 5, tier 6 raids, and they just kind of have like a base set of gear, you're constantly swapping out items to hit your defense cap, to hit avoidance cap. How much avoidance can I get away with and stack spell damage in order to generate more threat? Right. And so your bags as a paladin, from what I've heard, are just constantly full. And so I really want to get an understanding of what thresholds I want to hit with defense, avoidance, spell damage, what I can afford to give away, and generate more threat depending on my situation. Because I'm going to be in a spell cleave with 2 warlocks, a mage, myself, so we're going to be speedrunning heroic dungeons for badges, for reputations. We're going to be speedrunning through Karazhan. How much avoidance defense do I need for right after the first boss, right before Moros, to pull multiple packs. So I just want to lay this down from my understanding. Defense and avoidance are the 2 stats I want to talk about real quick. Defense, you need 490 to avoid being uncritable by physical damage from a level 73 mob. And for level 72, it's 485 defense. And defense also is the quickest, it's the best stat to get to your avoidance cap. So defense just adds overall block, parry, dodge, correct?
Right. And miss.
And miss. Right.
It doesn't show on your character portrait, but defense actually adds miss chance as well from the mobs to you.
I thought miss was always just a flat 5%.
No, it's a flat 5% plus the same. So defense gives like a 0.04%, or that's how in classic, I'm pretty sure TBC is the same. It's 0.04% per defense level, like per each defense point, not defense rating, defense skill. So it's 0.04 in classic for every 1 point. So you multiply that by all 4 stats: block, dodge, parry, and miss. So basically, one point. If you open like a calculator, you just do, oh, that's paint. If you open a calculator, you just do 1 times 0.04 times 4, and that's how much each point of defense gives you in avoidance. It's 0.16% total avoidance all around.
Right. I see.
And there's one thing that maybe I can share my screen with you on Discord.
Sure.
Hold
Yeah.
on a
Well,
sec.
it's funny. While I'm looking at this too, so I'm in game. There's an avoidance macro that that I just click. I'll put on my gear, and like right here on the bottom left, it shows me 63.15% avoidance. And so just to finish up this part, avoidance, you need 102.4% to be uncrushable by level 73 mobs.
Yes.
100% avoidance to be uncrushable by 70 mobs, right?
Yes, and every mob below you, you need less and less avoidance. Like I don't want to go deep into the math. It's also not very complicated, but you need less and less.
Okay, so this is to avoid getting crushed. So if I have 100% avoidance, this is a combination of my parry, dodge, block, and the 5% miss plus the 0.04% miss. So if you were to add this up, this macro right now is showing me 63% avoidance. Now, your Holy Shield, I also want to show this slide. Where is it? Your Holy Shield adds 30%, so whenever Holy Shield's up, it's 93. Whenever you have the Libram, that increases your Holy Shield rating. I don't have it. It's 25 badges. It's plus 5%, maybe a little bit more. So that would get us to 98. And then Redoubt, the talent, adds a 30% chance of increased blocks for 10 blocks, right?
But if you really are like that, some mobs, bosses that might hit harder, let's say like Mastermind or Mulgar in Gruul's, those mobs where they hit really hard, you don't want to rely on Redoubt because that's only a 10% chance, and you might want to be a little bit more careful with it. So you probably want to get like a little bit more gear just to compensate for that. There's also raid talents that make people like. There's also raid talents that make the bosses have less hit chance. I believe it's Boomkins or I can't remember. There's one class that you take into a raid, for sure it will be there, that will reduce the boss hit chance by like 3%. So you need to like account for that as well. But for a lot of I'm going to bet, right, that for a lot of the fights, you're not going to need to be avoidance capped. Like, and this isn't really for me personally. I'm not really min-maxing. I'm looking at TBC more from I want to have fun. I've already min-maxed in the past. I've already raided very hardcore. I'm just trying to have fun with the people I enjoy playing with, namely some of like the people in my guild or the majority of it. So I'm also not looking to like min-max. Is what I'm trying to like establish here. But I still don't think that even me will need to avoidance cap every single fight. And I don't know, are you raiding Nax?
I'm not raiding Nax at the moment, actually. I'm going to get into a GDKP on my Druid. Hopefully we'll off-tank.
All right, but have you raided Nax before, or even AQ? Have you raided AQ?
I've been in AQ. I haven't stepped into Nax.
Yeah, okay. So like AQ, like a lot of the tanks that step into that, they're actually getting crushed, and like they're not immune to crush. They're not immune to all of those things, and the healers just heal through it. There's more healers, that's for sure. But I'm willing to bet in a lot of the TBC fights in Karazhan, especially Karazhan, because it's a 10-man, I'm almost willing to bet you won't need to even be fully avoidance capped. And you can just swap some gear out, put some spell damage in, and just, see bigger numbers. Like, who doesn't like bigger numbers on the screen, am I right? So,
well, you'll probably take a little bit more damage, give your healers higher healing parses. I don't know if that would be the benefit,
give them something to do, man. Like, and moreover, don't forget that Paladins rely on mana to do threat, right? Warriors, they do with rage. They get rage, they hit more. Paladins rely on mana. The only way for us to get mana is through Spiritual Attunement, right? So you actually need to get healed to do more threat. So the more tankier and tankier and tankier you get, the more healing you're gonna get, which means the more damage you can output, and the less threat you can do.
That makes total sense. So we don't want to be really... Okay. So if I'm not avoidance capped, what's the difference between 100% avoidance and 90% avoidance? But I am defense capped, so I'm not getting crit because I'm defense capped.
Yeah.
I could get crushed.
Yeah.
Is it just the rate at which I take damage, the difference between 100% and 90%, and there might be a crush or two in there? You're obviously going to have a little bit less dodge, parry.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it, though. Like,
Yeah, that's it. Like literally, okay. Like okay, think
you're
like
not
this.
You're not taking like an overall less amount of damage, is what I'm trying to say. Each hit.
Yeah,
the
well,
difference between 190% avoidance.
You're only taking it on the hits that you get crushed. That's it. Right. Overall, you will take more damage, obviously, because you're not avoidance capped, which means, like, let's say you're at 90% avoidance versus 100%, right? There's 10% more hits are going to hit you.
Right.
Now, some of them might be crushes as well.
Right.
But, for example, some of them you might have dodged, and you might have not have completely been hit by that, right?
Sure.
So you will be getting a little bit more damage in, and the crushes are the only more dangerous bit of that side, because really you just need the avoidance to be crush immune, because you'll still take damage even if you like 102% avoidance. If you block something, our block value is so low compared to like what the boss damage does that you'll still take like the majority of the damage. It just can't be a crushing blow. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's making sense in my head. Like I said, I'm coming at this from a very novice perspective of the class and just looking at stat priority. It's interesting, I guess. I mean, we're always going to be defense capped. Like, that's important because you don't want to get you. I mean, there's no reason not to be. You would sacrifice.
No, but it doesn't. Yeah, I agree, but it doesn't necessarily need to be defense. That's something a lot of people don't know. So hold on, let me share my screen with you.
Sure.
Let me put this in this part here, and I'm going to go down to this Karazhan. I think it's this side that I wanted. This is like my best. There we go. Look at that. Can you see this item?
Right.
That's a PvP neck. Yeah, that's a PvP neck. But what does resilience do in class in TBC? Reduces your crit chance. This is like one item, and I get like, two, because I use the gravel as well. But that's basically 1% less crit reduction from resilience. So actually, you're streaming that as well. So actually, you don't even need full defense cap. I look at my defense. I don't know if you know this website, by the way. It's pretty amazing. Like this is incredible. If you want to be like playing around with talents, with gear, it's just spectacular. But look at my defense, 486, right? And you said 490,
right?
But I have 34 resilience. Now look at my total avoidance. I am crit immune. Boss crit chance 0%. And that's because resilience also takes part. So you don't necessarily need to be at 490 defense. You can use some really easy to get PvP items like this neck. This neck, I believe, is like, you can get this neck almost straight out of the gate. You do 10, you lose 10 Eye of the Storms, not accounting for the wind. Yeah, you lose 10 Eye of the Storms, you get 10 marks, you get this neck straight out of the blue. Like you get basically a best in slot for me, for my side. You get a best in slot neck from like 2 days of farming BGs, probably even less. You know, that's pretty amazing, you know. So that's all I was just trying to point out. Like you don't necessarily need the 490 defense. You want to be crit immune, that's for sure, but not necessarily through defense alone.
It's almost setting in there. You want to be crit immune, but not through defense alone.
Yeah, you want to be crit immune, but it doesn't necessarily need defense alone. You can use other things to be defense immune, right? So it's like if I want to say you need to have 200 mana per 5, but that doesn't necessarily need to come from spirit. There are items that give you straight MP5.
Right.
Same thing.
May the eternal sun
or with attack power. Like you want to be at 1,000 attack power, you don't necessarily need to get items with attack power. You can get items with agility that increase your attack power. It's the same thing.
Right. I see. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm glad you're pointing it out. It's something I'm continuing to pick up on. Okay, so I feel like we hit defense, avoidance. We're going to be going for parses, trying to, because the content, at least early on, it looks like you don't need to be, like you said, fully defense capped, fully avoidance capped. I'm going to be trying to push the limit. How much spell power can I put on, my gear to get a higher parse, generate more threat, allow the DPS to just, all the warlocks to seed even faster.
I mean, everybody loves when they can do threat, right? When they can do damage. So, for me personally, my biggest responsibility as a tank is I need to do as much threat as I can so that my DPSs can have their fun, right? Because then they're gonna love me and they're gonna give me items first as well. Right? It's all a back and forth. This is all a loop, But
yeah, Ted, no, I love it, man. That's what, as a tank, I tell people all the time, my role, and this is why I'm playing a paladin, because if I was playing a bear, the DPS Cargos would not be happy. Like Cargos would not be as happy if I was playing a bear as he would be if I played a paladin. And that's the whole point of tanking. You know, you want to keep the DPS. You want the DPS to be able to press their buttons.
Exactly. You want them to be happy. Yeah. And so for that, that's what I mean. Like for that, I want to like make this go straight to your head. Like some bosses, you still need avoidance cap, right? So you're gonna have to rotate some gear around, like you said. You need your bags with. It's annoying to have your bags full of gear, but you're gonna have to keep some gear in your bags.
I love the point that you made. We could even start making the healers happy. I don't know if there's. I'm sure there's healers out there that want to have a better healing part. So you can be like, hey, you know, we're in a 10-man Kara. We can have a Pally tank. You might just have to tell, you know, Joe Schmo or Johnny the tank, the warrior, to be like, hey, you're not in our 10-man group. The Pally's gonna tank. We're gonna have better healing parses this week. We'll have a faster clear time possibly. I don't know. But I do like the point you made about the spiritual attunement. This will even allow you to, you know, get more mana back, put out more deeps. I like it, man. That's good.
It's basically the main mechanic that I think a lot of the people who are like preparing to re-roll Pala, I think a lot of them aren't really accounting for it. They're all thinking, oh, I need to be uncrushable, I need to be like super tanky. Actually, no. You need to take damage.
I feel like we're getting ahead of the curve with this. I like this right out of the gate. Let's talk about boosting and gold farming as a Prot Paladin. So some of you guys might have alts. You might have a Paladin alt, just like you don't have a mage main, but everybody has a mage in Classic, right? Not everybody, I don't. But I know that come TBC, you're probably going to make a Paladin, and you're going to want to boost your alt characters. If you have 2 accounts, you're going to want a gold farm on the side. I want to talk about maybe like the minimum threshold that you need to get this Paladin to, with avoidance, with defense, how that affects. We've been doing strat live gold farms. I've been testing what I've seen on YouTube and just applying it in the beta and seeing how it works and trying to understand it myself. So
right, so the Parry Hasting, you mentioned that first. I was trying to keep track in my head of things you said. So I don't know if you know how Parry Hasting works and what it is. I'll just go over it again, maybe stream. I have some of my guild mates in my stream and they're not very smart, so I'll just go over it. So Parry Haste basically is every time you parry, or let's say you're attacking a boss. If the boss parries you, his auto attack gets reduced by 40% of the remaining duration. Right? So imagine you're auto attacking like let's say you're doing like a Scarlet Monastery boost, right? And you have like about 80 something mobs on you, and you get a lot of parries. What does that mean? If you're doing a swing, if you get a parry, the next swing will be halved by 40%.
Right.
And if you get another parry, that gets even more hasted. So it can happen if you have like, let's say 4 parries in a row, that you just auto instantly get another swing in. And the reason why it's so good for like dungeon farming, or in this case, more like boosting, not so much dungeon farming. The reason why it's so good is that when you have so many mobs on you, you just get like insane amount of auto attacks out, like constantly. And then if you have a seal on, like Seal of Light, you just don't die. You heal so much from the Seal of Light, that, especially with Reckoning. You know, Reckoning was reworked in Prot, and now it's a 10% chance when you get hit to get another extra swing on your next attack. So you're just swinging left and right. Like I was on beta for a bit, and my like auto attack animation is just like going. It's never stopping. It's insane. Right. So you can like get a lot of mana back while boosting. You can get a lot of health with Seal of Light. You can do like loads of damage if you need to kill something really fast with Seal of Righteousness. Basically, that's what Parry Hasting what it means and why it's so good for boosting. As for like pre-patch, yeah. Sorry, go on. Say it.
Just on the topic of Parry Hasting, so I've been doing the strat. I've been doing these 8-pull strat live farms just with the gear that I have. We don't have tier gear, and Parry Hasting actually made it possible for me to pull these 8 mobs because I would have, you know, like I would Judge Wisdom, so every auto attack had a chance to restore mana, and then I would have my Seal of Light on my weapon, and so that Seal of Light was just heal me to the top. I was getting mana back, and in the bigger pulls, you get more parry, so more parry haste, more auto attacks, more procs from your judgment that's on the mob, and the seal that you have on your weapon, and you just, you know, your mana and health just goes up instantly. So it's just really cool that parry haste was applicable. I think once I have more spell damage, more avoidance, that won't be the reason why I'm able to pull off some of these pulls but at the threshold that I'm at right now, I felt like the parry haste and the benefit that I got from my seal and my judgment was the reason why I was able to do it. Also, I've heard, so Prince Malchezaar, and I'm going off the fly with this, I did hear that Paladins can arguably better for some bosses, maybe in later tier content where the rating's a little bit more difficult, but Warriors, their abilities are additional auto attacks, right? For Paladins, they have less auto attacks because they don't trigger the Parry Haste from the boss, right? So they're taking a little bit less damage. Is that correct? Does that check out?
Well, yeah, kind of, yeah, because yeah, that is true. Warriors' abilities are like extra auto attacks, and Paladin's threat is not. Like if you do Consecration, it's not Holy Shield. It's actually the opposite. It's like when you get hit, you do threat with it, and then if you have Seal of Righteousness, all those things, they aren't actually like things that the boss can parry. Right. So yeah, for sure, Paladins will parry haste a boss like a gigantic amount less than Warriors. But that's not to say, by the way, that Warriors won't be decent like to do any type of raise, right? They can tank Priests just as well as the Paladin will be able to tank. It's just obviously we're like the Holy Warriors and Supreme Light, right? So we're better. There's no question there.
Yeah, I heard about that, and I thought it was an interesting point someone made, talking about how Paladins parry haste the boss less, which gives them a little bit more survivability. I don't know how applicable it's going to be. Like I said, Karazhan's going to be a joke, and it doesn't make a difference. But maybe, you know, in some of in SSC or, you know, TK, maybe it is applicable in some of these harder bosses.
Yeah. It's definitely like, I mean, Warriors had their time to shine in Classic, you know. So it's our time.
You don't feel bad
it's our time, you know. It's our time. Like, screw the rest, man. Like, I'm not even gonna come up with the excuse. Like, just screw the rest. It's our time to shine now.
That's great. Well, okay, let's move on to the consumables that you should maybe expect to save from a rating perspective, a boosting perspective, and farming. You did mention that. Maybe rating first. What are we looking at for consumes as a Paladin?
One thing you could arguably say that you want to save could be demonic runes and dark runes. Somebody said that in my stream, I just forgot. So demonic runes might be good, although it's risky, right? Because you're a Prot Pally. If you're tanking, if you get damage that is unexpected and then you rune at the same time, and the rune exchanges your health for your mana, so you might die. But on the other hand, yeah.
Could you do something cheeky like look at Ardent Defender? If I had this maxed out, I'm in this gold farming spec. Whenever you have 35% health, all damage taken is reduced by 30%. If you have this 5 out of 5, could you be at 36% health, pop a dark rune, and take 30% less damage?
I mean, dude, you can, but you need some humongous cojones to pull that off, because you're low HP and you're gonna pop a demonic rune
to take 30% less damage, though.
Yeah, you know.
Would that be viable? Like, if you're less than, you'd have to look at what your health pool is, and I think that it drains 800, 1200 health. Yeah. I mean, there's no way you pull that off, right? Like in the moment.
Mean, potentially you can. Like let's say for example, my best in slot Kara said at the end of let's say phase 1, I will be at around 14k unbuffed HP, which I expect to be about 18k or 17k with buffs. I mean, 10% of that is like 1.6, 20% to 3.2, so it's like 4.8%, 30%. 4.8k, maybe you can pull a rune off without dying, but holy shit, that is dodgy. That is very dodgy. But on the other hand, if you're at full HP, like let's say this scenario, you're at full HP, you parry or dodge a lot of hits in a row, and now suddenly you're like, oh wait, I'm out of mana, like because I'm not getting heals, because I'm not getting damage.
Right.
So what do? Then you pop a rune. You get mana. You get double the mana. Actually, that's the cheeky part I thought you were going to, because you not only get the mana from Dark Rune, but you get damage. Somebody has to heal that damage, which means you're gonna get more mana from Spiritual Attunement. Yeah.
That's hot right there. Yeah, I was taking the backdoor route on that one. Yeah, that's good. So Dark Runes are... You're gonna want to have dark runes for all your rating.
Yeah, yeah, probably. I mean, I'm going to have, for sure, for the first weeks, just in case. But then again, like we're gonna be Prot Palace. I'm 100% sure I'm gonna find a way to somehow like solo quickly the majority of Scholomance and just pop these into my bags like left and right. You know.
Right.
I did. Also, No, go on.
Also, what I didn't have anything.
Okay, I was gonna say that talent you just mentioned for raids, like somebody brought this up in my stream and they're right, I forgot about it. The talent you brought, that Ardent Defender, that can sometimes be a bit dodgy to have. because you might leapfrog it, which leapfrogging is when you jump over something, right? So imagine you're like not in best in slot gear yet, and you're in a raid environment, and let's say 30% of your HP is like 3, maybe 4k health. You might get leapfrogged, which is you get a hit for like 7k, and then that talent does absolutely nothing because you never got to the range of the 30% reduced damage.
Right. So you're just saying these 5 talent points are useless.
Not always, and this is something like I don't want to. One thing I'm trying to avoid here is unless I'm certain about something, I don't want to like just go out and straight.
No,
and
yeah, but in that scenario, it.
But yeah, in those scenarios, yeah. So we'll have to wait and see how much HP we're gonna get, how much damage the mobs do to a decently geared Prot Paladin. The beta gear was like totally off whatever I would ever use on a Paladin, so it's not really like the best, like the beta for Karazhan, the preset gear they gave us.
Right.
So we have to see, we have to wait and see, but there's a possibility you can leapfrog it. So I probably wouldn't even use that in a raid, but again, we have to wait and see. I don't want to go off topic.
No, yeah, for sure.
But
part of your Paladin form.
But little secret.
Okay.
You know what's better than Dark Runes and easily like a lot easier to farm come TBC?
The demonic runes, no?
Demonic runes. And where are you gonna farm them, you say? And I tell you, you're going to Dire Maul East, where I've lived like half of my Paladin life.
No.
Those damn lashers, right? So imagine being level 70, literally almost deleting the satyr mobs because you can just bubble and holy wrath and then consecrate and they all die in one global, almost exaggeration, but you get my point. You go there, you literally one pull the whole satyr side, you pull everything, you just don't stop, keep running. Man, they drop the demonic runes like left and right almost, and
no way.
It's a lot safer than Skolo. It's a lot easier than Skolo, and the quantity that drops is a lot higher because Skolo only has like a few mobs that might drop him in the beginning. Dire Maul East is filled with satyrs from the beginning to the after bit of the lashers. All of that area is satyrs everywhere. You can start in the room below with Hydra spawn, and then you can go like up to the satyr boss. You can go to the imp room as well. You pull all of that stuff, and you're gonna get like a gigantic amount of demonic runes. The only sad bit is you can sell them for gold if you wanted to. But...
Right. That is so interesting. They do restore and heal the same amount of resources.
Yeah, literally the same thing. They're equal 1-to-1 one another. One is BOP, the other is BOE.
Right.
That's the difference.
Wow, very interesting, man. That's the first I've heard about that. Huge tips, bro, that you're putting down. Let's talk about gold farming. So I just recently did like the Strat Lab gold farm, and I'm able to, with the gear that I have, I think I've realized that I don't have enough spell damage. And I was talking about how the Parry Haste has kept me alive for these 8 pulls. Do you think, Strat Live, I have it in 3 pulls right now with the beta gear that I have, no Karazhan gear. I'm not quite Priebus, but I've got a, just for reference, whenever I put it all on, I think I've got like 65% avoidance, 213 spell damage, and I think if I had like 300 spell damage, almost 400 spell damage, which you think that'll definitely be obtainable with Kara gear, right?
Sure.
You'll be able to get 400 spell damage and like 70% avoidance, maybe.
No, I have way more than that. Like again, if you go onto my Discord,
absolutely.
My set is got like I'm nearly like crushed immune, like 0.79 away from being crushed, but I can probably get like I can even lower some of this crush immune because the balanced druids give the 3% hit, so I can lose 3% avoidance and still be avoidance capped in raids, and this is a raiding set, by the way, but I have 534 spell damage, like flat.
So what gear set is this? What are we looking at?
So this one particularly is what I believe that I will want for Kara. This is mostly like you got 4 pieces of tier 4. Some people swap some pieces around, but I'm more focused on getting a lot of spell damage. The gladiator, or actually the PvP neck, because you're looking at, again, some avoidance with the resilience makes you crit immune, lots of stamina. We want lots of stamina as paladins because we scale so good since we have these 2 talents, 6% here and another 10% in here. So we scale really well with stamina, and again, bigger stamina pools means we can take more damage without being in risk of dying, which means more mana, which means more damage. So then, again, shoulders, I do a lot of spell damage gear overall, like that one, and shoulders also spell damage. This is just really good. This cloak, I mean, it's I believe it's like.
How come you take Iron Scale War Cloak over Devil's Shark Cape?
Let me see which one that is.
I've got it on. I've got it pulled up. I've
This
always
one.
seen.
Oh, right. Only literally one reason. I really like block rating. Block rating means a lot of threat because block rating means you block more. If you block more instead of dodging, your Holy Shield, which is up 100% of the time, will do damage back. Damage back means from damage from Holy Shield, damage from Blessing of Sanctuary, and Holy Shield does increased threat as well. If you see it in here, it says damage caused by Holy Shield causes 33% additional threat. So it's overall good. I prefer the block rating. Honestly, Devil Shark is just as good. It's just a bit of a different modification in the stats. Yours is a bit more dodge and defense. Mine is a bit more focused on having a high block chance. Like if you see here, my block chance compared to the other stats is pretty high. 25% versus 13 and 16.
Right.
So yeah, so that one, then again, the Justicard said, I have to kind of change some stuff. Like I can't put this gem anymore because I won't, like they don't allow us to do that anymore, right? But I'm probably going to put the Eye of the Sea. I'm going to buy these from the auctionals. These are from fishing. That's one of the reasons fishing is POG. I was telling you in your stream earlier, because you can actually get these sockets from, gems from fishing. They're pretty good. Then I go Braces of Dignity. I think they're a heroic. They are from Steamvault. No, sorry, Alcatraz, heroic. Again, defense, spell damage. Gladiator's Gravel, personally, I'm going to do PvP. So I'm going to get the Gladiator's Gravel after like 3 weeks.
Yep.
If not, you can always go for the one from Gruul's Lair. The casters like mages and stuff, you also want this. So, okay, move down to the next step and like you go lower and lower. Okay, fine. You get the Continuum Blade and the mages get the DPS, blah, 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 the Warlock, rather. But you can also get like Exalted Lower City, not that hard to get, and it's really good stats. It's got like decent spell damage, a bit more than a Continuum Blade. But I want to say this, at least if they maintain what we've been doing, what they've been, until now with like I'm missing the words. Unless they keep to what they're planning to do with Arena, everybody can get this Gravel. It just might take you a little bit longer to get the Gladiator's Gravel. Because it doesn't have a rating requirement.
Right.
So
just points.
Just points. So from season 3 up, so seasons 3 and 4, you need points and rating to get this. From season 1 and 2, in theory, if they follow what it was back in TBC, you don't need any rating, just the points. It takes a little bit of time. It's totally possible though. You can get it within like maybe a month and a half. If you think about it, a month and a half, it's not that long, and that's at like 0 rating, kind of like 1.5k, which is what you start when you create a new team. You get it without like, I think maybe 2 months, but 2 months is not bad to get like your best in slot weapon, right? Sure. So then I got the shield. I'm probably not gonna get this shield because it's a very low drop chance. Yeah, it's Gruul's low drop chance, and this is really, really good for warriors because of the hit rating as well. I might pass on this shield to the warriors, and I will use instead this one from badges. Also easier to get, 33 badges.
So we're looking at all this gear. This is going to be your phase 1 set, correct? That you're going after?
Yeah, the one that I aim to finish like phase 1 with, or like at around the middle of phase 1.
Okay, I like this. So for anybody wanting to have if you're not maining this paladin, you're probably not going to be able to obtain this gear. If it is your main, hopefully you can find maybe a middle ground. So the stats I'm looking at, we've got 534 spell damage. Your avoidance is
avoidance cap.
Okay, so it's avoidance cap. You have 66% avoidance.
Yeah, and this puts me at
right. That puts you at avoidance cap. But if for the sake of like Strat Life gold farming, you're at 66% avoidance, and whenever you put on Holy Shield, that's 30%, and the Liber Me has adds 5%. So that's avoidance cap. But whenever you're doing 200 pull farms, Holy Shield isn't active, so your 66% avoidance you have with all your epics on right now, and I don't have any. I'm at 63% avoidance. You're at 66. Well,
I feel you. You are right.
So we're taking like the same amount of damage, correct? Even with all that, I mean, you're getting a lot more stamina from Sacred Duty and combat expertise, just because you have more stam, but we're not necessarily taking less damage at these gear levels, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, you're right. I believe like for Strat, if you're gonna be farming Strat, Undead, my goal with Strat is just this simple goal, right? I have to do it in one pull. I refuse myself to not do it in one pull.
Right.
And for that, I think this is all theory. Personally, it's all theory because I didn't want to ruin my experience of TBC by leveling in the beta. So all I've done in beta was really literally do anything that is level 60 and below. I didn't even enter Outlands. So I didn't test this, but I really believe the best thing for strat is going to be full avoidance. You want to be nearly 100% avoidance without Holy Shield. So the more avoidance you get, the better. And the reason I say this is because this is like there's not much to do with the killing phase. The killing phase, you have figurine, right? I think I saw it.
Right.
Yeah, you pop figurine. I mean, that's insane. That thing just puts you to 100% easy. It's lay on hands, right? For 20 seconds. Yeah, exactly. So the kill phase isn't so much as a problem. You can even figurine, you can bubble heal after. That's like enough time for like 5 or 3 or 4 or 5 consecrations. Should be close enough to kill them. So all I want is to be able to survive with that amount of packs into, or mobs rather, into the kill phase.
The problem I've had with the 65% avoidance is because I get these 8 packs and too many mobs catch up to me. They've all caught up, and so
you're taking a lot of damage, basically. That's it. You will take a lot of damage from them, and you want to arrive at that place without being so something like something like this is going to be what my ideal set is. Now this, I have to swap this item around because it was supposed to be available in phase 1, but it's not anymore.
Sure.
But you can still get to around this. So 85% you want to get avoidance to like 85%.
Okay, what does 85% avoidance mean? So so there's 15% of the time you're gonna be getting hit. These are just regular white attacks.
Almost. So this is against a level 70 mob, but lower level mobs, there's a weird math in here. So let me just check, what are you streaming from my bit on your, okay, that bit, okay, I'm gonna put a calculator right in there. You can see it, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. So how does the math work for lower level mobs? This is really simple. You take your max level defense, 350 at level 70, and then you subtract from it the mob defense. Let's say the mobs in, what level are the mobs in strat?
58.
Like 55?
55 even, yeah.
55, right. Let's take 55. So you multiply 55 by 5, which is how much defense you get every level. You know, like you level up on a Pala, you go from 285 to 290 and then 295. So you multiply that. This is that mob's defense level. And yours is this. So you're going to subtract those two. And you have 75 of a difference. Then you multiply this by the same stat I told you before, 0.04, and you multiply times 4. That means that you have 12% more avoidance against level 55 mobs. So you're looking at 85 plus 12. So you're looking at 97% avoidance against these mobs. So only realistically 3% of the hits are going to hit you, especially if you're jumping and turning. If you know how you can do like the jump turns.
You get hit from behind. The avoidance isn't.
It's not gonna work, right?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
But if you're like jump turning, and especially, I don't know if you're planning to use Zanza, but my advice. Good point. One of the things that you should save for TBC as a paladin. I have about like, I don't know, a couple of thousand of them of bijous. You need to save Zanzas. I personally think that that's going to be the best way to do this.
Right.
It lasts 4 hours if you have 2 of them, and this gives 15% movement speed, like Pursuit of Justice, but the Zanza gives 20, and that's 5%. I've noticed actually makes a difference in every single boost that I've ever done.
It's a world of difference.
Yeah.
The mobs actually, so I play hardcore all the time, the mobs actually run at 115%. Like most mobs in the game, and so you're running at the same rate. And if you have a little bit of an edge, that 5% makes the world of difference. They won't catch up to you. You'll actually end up outrunning them.
Exactly.
So we're gonna have to do 4-hour gold farming sessions, or like 3 hours and 40 minutes, depending on when you pop it, because you can only carry one Zanz at a time. You pop it,
and you have to fly over there, blah blah blah.
And if you die, I mean, then you lose freaking 2 hours of your farm.
That's why my goal is to have a fully defensive set, so that you don't die. Because I don't have to, man, come on, I don't want to go down there and get another Zanz and have to fly back to Strat. That is really far.
Right.
But the thing is, with this set, it's very unlikely that you will die. I mean, you've seen Dr. Kell's video, right?
Absolutely.
That, to be fair, was in tier 6, and that was in private server values, which weren't really correct. We've seen like the mobs do a lot more damage now. But It's possible. Like, it's totally possible.
Absolutely.
So all I'm trying to do is just not die. As long as you don't die, that Zanza goes for like 3.5 hours. And I mean, if you have to take a half an hour break, that's not bad as well. You know, stand up from your chair a bit, go walk, you know,
Right.
maybe, you know, pet your cat or whatever. But, so it's not so bad, I think. And this set, I get like 85% avoidance. I'm 100% sure that at this much avoidance, you can jump turn almost everything. With a Zanza, you can outrun. You can do like some nice strategic pulls where you like. I'm gonna open up paint because I don't know how much you're like into pala boosting, but imagine like this is one of the strat hallways where you have like a fountain. Like there's a lot of mobs in the center.
Yeah, I see it. Yep.
And you want to pull these mobs in here. Like you're not gonna run through these ones to pull those, right? So you run through this side.
Right.
When you're about in the middle here, you exorcism one of these ones. And then you run throughout this direction, and all of these mobs will social aggro these ones because you're bringing more mobs from the back. So these will like fold into you, and these will fold into you and aggro the rest. So if you couple the fact that you can like strategically pull the mobs with 97% avoidance and Zanza, I am almost sure you can safely get to the kill phase with some sort of gear like this. Right. Now, like you said, this isn't exactly like new character or alt friendly.
Right.
But you know, neither is like the Mage 500 pull. Like I think a full strat run here. We're talking about something, you know, big. It's kind of like huge in a way. Right. So it's not just the average farm like a mage is doing 200 mobs in Marathon. It's something more like the 500 Marathon pull. But there is some options. I have another set here. It's like an easier set. That you can pull this off, like easy to get for alts. I was thinking of like a way to somehow get something that alts can get.
Sure.
And this is what I've arrived at. It's got like 70% avoidance, not amazing, but still pretty close. If you add the 12% more, that's like 69, 72% avoidance, or 71. And then it's got still some nice spell damage, and the most important thing is almost all of this gear is easy to get. Right. This helm is crafted. I mean, if you want gold, you got to spend gold to make gold, right? Sure. So, crafted helm. This neck is from badges. This is like from, I think, normal dungeons.
Right. And
oh no, it's actually 100 points. Okay. So you've got like more like revered items, revered again. The bracers, I believe, are crafted. Right. The shield is badges. Right. It's all basically
and
easy to get.
Of course, you're putting defense rating in because that's your quickest way to stack avoidance. Is there diminishing returns on how much avoidance you get from defense once you get past 490 defense, for example? I don't know why, just an arbitrary number. So 5 defense gain from 490 to 495 gives you the same amount of avoidance as 5 defense gain from 470 to 475. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure so, yeah.
Sure. Okay.
That fashion though, like people are saying in your stream, that fashion though, yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
This is like the alt-friendly version. I mean, if you're an alt, you gotta look like a noob, right? Like, there's no way around it. If you're a chav paladin though, like, okay, wait, let me remove that hideous helm. Okay, there we go. If you're a chav paladin, you're gonna look like this. That's a lot better.
That's great. That is great. Man, I've learned a lot. I didn't realize you could get to 85% avoidance in phase 1. Yeah, I'm sitting at the 65. And then the plus 12 avoidance. So my 65% avoidance, I'm really at 77. I've just got so many freaking mobs on me. I'm still getting hit like a mother. Yeah, that's interesting.
Do you want to touch on like the shield things? Because I noticed like I think your last video was like shields, right?
I do. So let's look at some of these items. Guys, there's some gimmick items. So I've been looking into Prot Pally recently. There's a handful of misinformation out there. I'm still learning a lot myself. It's TBC. It's kind of like the Wild Wild West. I know people have done this in the past. But there's been a lot of testing on P servers. Oh, speaking of Dr. Kale, I hope I get him on, because he's the catalyst of these one pull strat live farms. An interesting thing on the P servers, he helped me set this one up. On the beta recently, and I was watching his videos, and he was doing it in the similar gear as me, and he was having a lot easier time. Well, those cadavers that would blow, that I kill, they spawn a cadaver that blows up. Well, on the P servers, the cadavers that spawn, they don't blow up. They're just regular mobs. And so they were blowing up for like 900 a hit on me, and I was getting one shot. I was like, what the hell's going on? But the point I want to make is the values are
way off.
They're a little bit different. But I'm really excited to get Dr. Kale in here and hopefully get his take on all of this. And it's been really cool. We're still kind of, it's still kind of fresh is what I'm trying to make a point at.
Yeah, I get you.
It may be a little bit undiscovered on what it takes to, that minimum
I mean,
threshold.
it definitely is, right? Just look at it this way. For how many years have we had private servers, right? Nostalris opened up, I think, like 7 years ago or something like that. I think 6 years. And even before Nostalris, you had like a gigantic amount of servers before, right? So with all of those years of private servers, nobody came up with a Mara run? Like, really?
Right.
It's
Right.
just because the private servers maybe didn't have pathing the same way, they didn't
Right.
work the same way. But personally, I think that this is what happened. There just wasn't as big a population as there is now, and without as big as a population, you don't have as many people trying out these random things like we're doing now.
That's great, man.
I mean, like, you see the ZF farm, right, for Paladin. I saw you, like, you're doing it before you're leveling like a Paladin there.
Right.
Nobody on YouTube,
Right.
I'm not trying to take credit for that, but nobody on YouTube was doing anything about it until I told one of my guildies, I think he's in my chat now, and I told one of my guildies at Paladin, I said, dude, I think at level 60, I can farm ZF alone. Right. And he said, you're mental, only mages can do that. This was like phase 2 or phase 3, and it was when the ZF was still like a good profit of gold from just the raw things. And I think, I think I can do it. And then I made a video on it, I'm like, am I really like the first Paladin to do a ZF video on like farming? And it just goes to show that, like, because there isn't such a big crowd, not a lot of people thought of these things. So, a lot of TBC is absolutely undiscovered. Like, we just found out the slave bans things for mages. Right. I am pretty sure I'm gonna be able to solo a lot of like normal leveling dungeons, like not heroic versions of the dungeons as a paladin. There's still too much. That's actually one of the things that keeps me really hyped. There's a lot to discover. It's not all theory crafted yet.
That's great. Well, let's look at these last few items. Also, dude, if you can put your links in the chat right now, and we'll do it at the end as well. Please follow Tedj.
Oh, yeah.
The man is full of information. Really doing us a solid coming here and helping a noob out like myself on understanding Paladin. Let's go.
We're helping each other, man. It's
absolutely. Let's look at these last couple items. So I did a video recently on, it was Skullflame Shield good, Demon Forge Breastplate. Like I said, there's a lot of videos out there on these, what I would consider gimmick items. Lifesteal, Chance on Hit. You have Essence of the Pure Flame from Ragnaros, deals 13 damage every time you get hit. You have Cloak of the Flames, Trash Drop in Molten Core, 5 damage every hit. You have the Nagel Ring, does hit. You have like gloves that do hit. And at first I was thinking, okay, this is good for a Paladin, but from what I've, picked up and learned on, you just want to avoid, the more gear you get, the less hits you get. So these chance on hit items actually are less effective, so it's counterintuitive. You don't want to be stacking those items. You just want to take less damage, stack spell damage, and blow it all down with your abilities, not these gimmick items. But
I mean, at this point, it's like I said, that set of mine is not a 100% defined thing, right? That's like what I personally believe will be best, and I kind of like consider that, I have some little bit of experience, and like, it's not being cocky, it's just I've done it so much that I can grasp it from just looking at it. But I might be completely wrong, and my Reflect might be like the best damn thing in Strat. So I'm saying this because I don't want people to like, Nagel Ring is trash, I'm gonna sell this item. Don't do that. Like, the best all of us can do right now is hold on to whatever we have, old gimmicks, new gimmicks, whatever. Hold on to it. When people find out the way that we're going to, like, the best way to do things, then you can decide what you want to do.
Well, just like Paladins, before they get their Tier 5 and Tier 6 gear and the later gear where it's just, like, there's not a lot of mixing around of gear, just like Paladins early on, you're constantly swapping gear around. You might be boosting Scarlet Monastery with minimum amount of gear, and those items are going to end up working because of your avoidance and your spell damage that you have on currently. But let's look at this. So Skullflame Shield, I did a video on it recently with Skullflame and Demon Forge Breastplate, and I had a few takeaways. It wasn't super exciting. It doesn't proc. It procs less, if you have higher avoidance. So there's a lot of variables that go into whether or not this works. I had 273 spell damage at the time. I had a couple people tell me in the comments, and I have noticed, if you just stack tons of spell damage, also this Shadow Power enchant is supposed to scale with the Lifesteal from Skullflame and Demon Forge as well, which I haven't tested out. But somebody mentioned, if you have like 600 to 800 spell damage, that's whenever Skullflame Shield is like amazing. But then you're going to have a lot of avoidance, I'm assuming, if you have that much spell damage. I'm not sure exactly how these items work, but we did a video over this. I think it requires a lot more testing. I thought that Shadow Power enchant was kind of interesting. Still haven't tested that.
Yeah, that's a misconception, by the way. I personally also thought Shadow Power was the play, but turns out like somebody actually went out and tested it with like throughout, like, you know, you have to test it on a lot of numbers because the damage from Skullflame varies like significantly, and the damage from Demon Forge varies on your spell power. So somebody actually went to test it, and apparently it's fire damage. It's not. It's a drain life effect. Yeah, the drain life effect is shadow, but the actual like coefficient is used with fire damage. Don't quote me 100% on this. This was something I saw on the Paladin Discord. Like 2 or 3 people confirmed this. I haven't confirmed it myself, but I'm just
Demon Forge breastplate. I wonder if it probably works on Demon Forge. So Skullflame scales 1-to-1 with spell damage. Demon Forge breastplate scales like 2.3-to-1. So for every 2.3 spell damage, you get an additional point of lifesteal. Is what I found.
Wait, which one?
Demon Forge breastplate.
Yeah, it's a 40%. It's 40% scale basically.
Right.
And Skullflame is 100%. So 1-to-1, and the other one is like almost 0.3. It's like 0.4-to-1.
Okay, I just did it backwards. I'm bad at math.
No.
No.
That's fine.
I see what you're saying. So let's look at Argent Defender, Dr. Kale. And I want to do one of these with Dr. Kale, like a deep dive just from novice perspective to somebody that understands the class. He mentioned Argent Defender, and you can see the classic version. I haven't tested this myself. I haven't really heard of too many people testing it. Maybe the Paladin Discord. I haven't been in there. In classic, it reads, 1% chance when struck in combat, increasing chance to block by 50% for 10 seconds, which is sweet. I'm thinking about Holy Shield only has a certain amount of blocks. Redoubt has a certain amount of blocks, and it's gone. But this flat stays. 10 seconds, 50%
stays
chance
on
for block. And this 250 block rating, how much does that equate to?
30.
Okay, so it gets nerfed, but still 30% increased block is ridiculous for 10 seconds.
It's huge. Like, this is one of those items that I believe might end up being the best item for strat. If when you get to the kill phase, you equip this one, this dude, this little shield procs, you're blocking so much, and every block, like, what are you doing with block? Blessing and Sanctuary damage. You're probably gonna have the spike, Fell Spike, I believe is the name, on your shield, like to reflect more damage. So every single reflect or block you're doing is a lot of damage. If you have this shield up, imagine you equip this one, it instantly procs in the kill phase. 1% on 200 mobs is like a near instant proc chance. You swap it around to a better shield or like something like either Skullflame or Petrified, and the proc stays on.
I didn't even think about that.
Wow. Yeah, I know.
Oh, dude, so we're not seal twisting anymore, we're shield twisting. Bro. I love that.
I guess it's a new meta, shield
Dude,
twisting,
I wasn't even thinking about that, because I was like, well, Argent Defender has half the amount of armor. It's not going to have spell damage, like, whatever shield you pick up, in tier 5 and tier 6 rating. I never thought about that. That's unbelievable.
The only question I have is,
does it stay on?
Does it stay on in TBC? Because in Classic it does, but does it stay on in TBC? That's the real question.
Oh my goodness.
But if it continues as it is, and it does, it's pretty huge. But I have to test it out. Like I have a beta. We can keep talking, and I'll test it out in beta while we talk.
Sure.
But there's the other options as well are pretty good. Go on.
No, I was just gonna say I didn't know if the sacrifice of the amount of armor with Argent Defender was gonna be worth it. But now, if that proc stays, absolutely, you're gonna want to have an Argent Defender and then just put on your preferred shield. Whether you have tons of spell damage and you're hoping to get lifesteal from Skullflame Shield, because it does proc, whenever you have that many mobs hitting you. Or, your Lycan Guard just to kill them down with poison procs. Or do you put on whatever tier 5, tier 6 shield that you have with tons of avoidance, tons of spell damage? I don't know. There's plenty of different ways.
It's honestly, it's really all out there in the open right now. Because, okay, listen, the way I see it, there's so many possibilities right now, I can't really put my finger and say this is the best one. So imagine one scenario. You get a very high avoidance gear, like the one that I have, right? And what happens is if you block a damage, if you fully block damage, it doesn't trigger any on-hit effects from your shield, okay? So blocks, parries, like you say, block, parry, miss, and dodge don't trigger any on-hit effect on shields, except when there is a partial block. A partial block is when you don't fully block out the damage of the melee hit that's hitting you, right?
Right.
So I have one set that is a low block chance. Let me pull up my thing again, my website. Here, I have this low block value set. So if you look at this one here, I don't know if you're on stream.
I got it.
There.
Yep, I pulled it up.
So if you look at this one, I'm only at 55% avoidance because I didn't want to like overly stack avoidance.
Right.
But my block chance is only 89, so I had to rotate gear around to have a low block chance.
So
sorry, low block value.
Right, low block value. So you've got 18% chance to block, and then sorry.
So what this means is, what my idea was to use, it's one of the potential ideas is to use one of the shields you said, the Ardent Defender, to proc those 30% chance, right? And then when I proc it, then suddenly I'm like at the huge like avoidance capped again, and with really high block rating, but low block value. This means that when the mobs hit me, right, I will still, if I block, I still do Retribution Aura damage, Blessing of Sanctuary, the Shield Spike, and it has a chance to proc Skullflame. So it might be a play, like if you look at this set, we're looking at 550 spell damage, nearly like avoidance capped, especially if I swap around. If I use Ardent Defender in here, Ardent Defender. So if I use Ardent Defender in here, and then it procs and I swap it to Skullflame, we're looking at me still being hit by the mobs because they do more than that 89 defense that I had, right? So 59 with Ardent Defender even. So they're gonna do more damage, and it's gonna be only a partial block, which means every hit that I get blocked will have a chance to trigger Skullflame.
Absolutely.
And that's like people say, Skullflame is trash and PLG is trash and Ardent Defender is the best, and people say the other way. I mean, maybe it's a combination of them all. Like, if we do something like this, we're still getting huge healing from spell damage from Skullflame, and we're getting all of that damage in the kill phase, and we kill them in like 20 seconds. It's insane,
Okay, so how do you... I don't understand block value and block...
Okay.
I get block
really
value.
simple.
I just don't
really
understand
simple.
block rating. How do you ensure that you take damage from a block? Like, how do you get a partial block?
Yeah, it's really simple, right? So you've got block. Let's say a mob does 100 damage. 100 damage to you. Okay. Block value is on a 1-to-1 conversion. That means if you have 100 block value, I'm gonna call it BV, you're going to take 0 damage. If you have 99 block value, you're gonna take 1 damage when you block.
Sick.
Right? So it's a pretty like straightforward 1-to-1 conversion. And what does this mean? This one at 0, this one cannot proc Skullflame or Red Aura.
Absolutely.
It only procs Blessing of Sanctuary, because that one specifically says when you block.
Right.
This one, however, can proc all the babies. Babies. So this means if you have really like just barely enough block value like I do in this set, where is it here? You're still gonna get just a tiny hit, but you can proc Red Aura. Red Aura alone is gigantic damage in TBC, and then you can also have a chance to use Skullflame. So my point is, when we're talking about like all these like shields and whatnot, so I'm going back to your stream, we can stop it again.
Oh, yep.
So when we're talking about all of these shields, like, my opinion is there's a couple of possibilities right now. Skullflame with spell power might be really good. Petrified Lichen Guard, I don't think will be very good. I really don't think it will be the best play. I used to think so, and I don't anymore. I'll explain in a second. And Ardent Defender has the potential to be like the best shield for Strat. That's how I see it.
I'm just beside myself because, so, a lot of people have been telling me too that Sanctity Aura is the play. Sanctity, because Retribution Aura doesn't do that much damage, and the more avoidance you get, you're just not going to be using Red Aura that much, and so you have to go Sanctity Aura. And we tested it with the current gear that I have. Retribution Aura only did 6% of my damage, and I was in the mindset, well, the better gear I get, the less damage Retribution Aura is going to do,
Yeah, but check how much block you have on that character. Like, mouse over your block there.
Right.
There you go. What's your block value?
90.
No, block value. It says your block stopped. There you go. Every block you did, you have like your highest defense stat is a block, 22%. Every block you were doing, you were getting 0 damage, which means Red Aura was not proccing. So that's why it was so low.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I love it. Hang on.
So it's just so hard to pinpoint what's like the best shield that you can do. Oh, by the way, the reason why I don't think Petrified Legion Guard is the best is even if somebody did this math on the Paladin Discord, like the light club, you know,
Right.
old warriors used to be called Fight Club.
Right.
So someone did the math there, and it was something like the best damage you can get out of PLG is 20 damage per second on a single mob. So if you have 100 mobs, you're gonna do like 2,000 damage per second. 2,000. But on a single mob, PLG, when it stacks to the max stacks, it does 20 DPS. That doesn't change anything in strat. It doesn't make you kill shit any faster.
Right.
The thing is, if it would do so much damage that it would compensate an extra consecrate, it means you wouldn't have to cast an extra consecrate.
Sure.
Maybe it would be okay, but at this point, it doesn't. Like, having Petrified Legion Guard on doesn't stop you from having to do the same amount of consecrations. And if you have to do the same amount of consecrations, is it really doing anything for you?
Did it do anything? Right. You might as well. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. I was gonna say you might as well have a higher defense shield on, but then you wouldn't be procking your Blessing of Sanctuary, all your other chance on hit items, Retribution Aura. Oh
yeah.
Man, this is so great. I mean, I'm beside myself because I never min-max, and I really never understand my classes, and just having an understanding of how, I really hope if you guys are watching this, you're getting an understanding of how Paladin works, how these stat values works, and then you can, swap your items around to pull off whatever you're going for, it's really like liberating.
But one thing I kind of like want to say is that all like you have like 157 viewers, right? All of these people, if they are planning on rolling a Prot Pally and all of that, like, listen, I know like Skullflame is really expensive, but like just don't shove it into the corner. Don't say, oh, it's 1k gold, it's not damn worth it. It might just end up being the best one. And what's going to happen if people find out that it's the best one? It's not going to be 1k anymore, not in TVC. It's going to be 6, 7, 10, or 11, So...
Well, I'll rebuttal you. There's going to be a lot more Paladins farming and finding Skullflame Shields in strat, so they might go down.
Yeah, that's true as well. It's this double-edged argument right here. I mean, all I'm saying is if you find a cheap one and you don't already have one, I would probably buy it. If I would see... If it was myself, by the way, I had 3 Skullflame Shields and I sold them all already, right?
Oh, no.
So because I'm only keeping my own. But if I didn't have a Skullflame and I saw the auction house one up to like 500-600, I would buy it instantly. I wouldn't even think twice.
Currently, I saw them as low as 700, as high as 1500, and right now they're right at 1k.
Yeah, and the thing is like, okay, look. We're gonna pull so much gold per hour in TBC.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Is it really matter? Like, is 1k really what's gonna matter right now? I mean, if you want 1k, go do the Marathon Paladin 200 boost, and like you can get 1k in like a week of just casual boosting from like time to time, right? So, just if you find one that's cheap, go for it, man. Personally, if I didn't have one now, I could probably buy one up to 1k because we're gonna make so much money in TBC. 1k is not gonna matter. It's not gonna matter.
Right. I like it, man. Yeah, guys, get your get your pen and paper out. Start making your investments. Put your life savings into your Skullflame Shields, man. We've seen a lot of videos, and I made one recently. I kind of just put it up in the air, and I showed everybody my avoidance stats, my spell damage, and it doesn't proc that much. But in a world where you have tons of spell damage, and when it does proc, it gives you massive lifesteal, and you're getting the damage proc as well. There is a world where Skullflame could be good. I couldn't come up with a conclusion. That was the thing. I really couldn't say it was good or bad. A lot of people have said the Skullflame Shield is bad. Petrified Lycan Guard is better. But yeah, like you said, is PLG really even going to be
worth it?
Worth it. You might as well put on Skullflame. I totally get what you're saying. That's
like the way I kind of see it is, honestly, this might kind of sound kind of like demeaning, but it's really just not. But I think like a lot of the times, I heard you saying this before, and I 100% agree with you. I think a lot of times, a lot of people peak because they just want to have some content out, but they don't necessarily are sure of what they're saying. And I saw you saying this before. If I'm not sure about something, I'm not going to make a video on it because it doesn't make any sense, right? I'm not adding anything. I'm not contributing anything. So I think like people are just hyped, and everybody's hyped, and everyone wants to do videos, everyone wants to talk about things, and everyone has their opinions. But I don't think that anyone, me included, has any validated opinions because we don't have the data yet. We don't have the values, we don't have the gear, so nobody really knows. And if nobody really knows, I don't want to assert an opinion and say this is going to be the best thing, because they might all be the best thing. So I think that's how it works.
I like it, man. I got more out of this podcast than I knew it was going to be good. I didn't know it was going to be this good.
Yeah, I'm happy you're liking it, because honestly, like I like doing these kind of things as well. But it's just hard to find people that are like willing to do this. I mean, I'm not very known. I have like, my YouTube is still pretty small, even though I have like a lot of views, it's still pretty small. So it's hard to find people that want to do this. But I really dig talking to people. I dig like helping out as well and making guides and whatnot. So yeah. This is good for me. I love doing these things. If you're up to do more, I'm up to do more as well in the future.
It was a fantastic talk, man. You're much more knowledgeable about the class than I am. I'm just, like I said, starting to get my feet wet with understanding the class. Guys, if you could be so kind and follow Tedj on YouTube, putting this content together with me, it's greatly appreciated.
Tedj
Seriously,
just
man.
Subscribed.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the plug.
If anybody's watching and the guy is a wealth of knowledge. He did the 200 Mara pull recently. We're going to see a lot more Paladin stuff coming out of him. I'm hoping to sit down with Dr. Kale Costin. He's made a lot of Paladin videos, and I'm sure there's tons of other min-maxers out there. I guess my biggest takeaway, and I love from this video, is we just don't know, and there's so much of the unknown.
Especially about gear. I mean, talent-wise, it's almost clear what's going to be best or not for boosting. It's just the question right now is, do you go for Sanctity Aura or do you not go for Sanctity Aura?
Right.
But other than that, it's like the gear is just so hard. But to pinpoint exactly right now what's going to be the best and what's not.
Well, it's great. We're talking about freaking gold farms for killing level 55s and 60s. It stays in nature with just how Paladins are gearing up through the raid content and in-game content. You're constantly swapping pieces around, and I've come to fall in love with that aspect of the class.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, sorry to interrupt. I'm literally on beta right now. I tested it, Ardent on procs, and doesn't go out when you change shields. So that is just sick.
So it stays. We're shield twisting.
Yeah, we're shield twisting.
I bet.
Shield twisting, new meta. Like 100% shield twisting.
I love it.
So yeah,